Hello everyone, it's Shel from Paper Rock Studio, and today I'm sharing with you one of the faces that I've done in the 29 Faces Challenge by Ayala Art. When she started this, it was a leap year, so there was 29 days, and it's been continuing on for the last few years, and I decided to play in it this month and try to make a face every day. I'm using shipping tags. These first few shipping tags were sent to me by a viewer in Happy Mail, and since then I've ordered more. And guess where I ordered them from? Amazon. What's funny about that is that I bought a box of 1,000 shipping tags because it was a better price at 1,000. So yeah, that's going to be way too many, but it's kind of funny anyways. For this tag, I'm going to be using oil pastels for probably the third time ever in my life. um, Oil pastels are pretty reasonably priced, and so it's something that you can get. These were sent to me by Peg Robinson, one of my friends. She just randomly sends me stuff. It's so nice. It's like, ta-da, here's some oil pastels. So I decided to try them out, and here is my video. I'm not taking videos of every single face that I'm making, but if it's something new or different, or I have some sort of commentary, I'll go ahead and make a video. I have a lot of other videos to make, so I really can't make one every single day. So I started out this face, and it's a girl's kind of whimsical face, which ended up looking, I thought, in the end, kind of like Callista Flockhart, who was an actress. She was in some popular show, and I don't know whatever happened to her, but she was this like real thin, like thin to the point of bony person, and my end product I thought ended up looking kind of like her. So I got out the oil pastels after I had made my pencil drawing, used my mechanical pencil, of course, always do, and I started out adding shadows to my face using kind of a lavender color. And I thought, okay, I'm going to blend this with blending stumps. That was my first thought. Should blend it easily because this is a smooth paper. This is manila cardstock that they make shipping tags and folders out of. So it's a very smooth paper, not porous, and I thought that it would blend pretty well with blending stumps. Well, it really doesn't. In tiny spots it can, but I guess maybe the blending stump is too hard and it makes gouges rather than making a smooth blend. So then I switched to blending with my finger, and of course that's messy. It gets all over your hands. Not that I really mind messy, I'm just saying it's messy. So then I continued adding colors, and still trying to keep. I'm a mixed media artist. That's what I like to do, so I tend to put layer after layer after layer after layer of something on anything that I do. That's what I like to do. I like to make layers and layers and layers and layers. Blend the layers together or don't blend them, but still a lot of layers. With oil pastels, I think you can do that. You can put a lot of layers, but you have to keep in mind that they're kind of opaque. And so when you put one on top of the other, you're obliterating what's underneath. So then you go and you try to blend it, and it mushes all together kind of and makes kind of a mud. And also, I haven't researched, but I'm guessing that there's some sort of paper that goes along with this, because the smooth cardstock, manila cardstock, just like you do with a stick pastel or a pan pastel, you need to have something that's called tooth. And that means that the paper is porous and bumpy and scratchy a little bit. And then there are places for the pastel to go down in. It's like, scrunch into the holes. And then once you fill up those holes, the top is smooth. So it's kind of like a sponge soaking up water it's porous, and then once it's full of water, it's not porous anymore. It's hard to describe, but pastel papers have tooth, and manila cardstock does not have tooth. So as I was blending, I was getting these little oil pastel goobers, like these little bits and bobs. And then when I try to blend that in and try to force it down onto the paper with my finger, it was just making mud. So I decided, okay, well, what can I do about that? I hadn't gessoed the page. And what gesso is, for you guys who don't know, it's basically a way to create tooth and to seal in a paper. So it's not really a paint. A lot of people just use it as if it's acrylic paint or whatever, but it's not. It's a preparation medium for preparing papers for artists or canvases, for sealing them so that they're not as absorbent as they once were, or for adding tooth in this case. So I decided to just go ahead over my whole image with some white gesso to see if that would help the frustrations that I was having. Not big frustrations, not so big that I was going to throw it out the window or anything, but just like, these goober things are annoying me, and the blending is not going as well as I had hoped. And the more layers I put on, the more goobers I'm getting, the more it's not blending well, the more I'm creating mud. So this was my attempt to, I haven't worked with this before. And I'm brave. I'll go work with any product. Give me a product, I'll work with it. It's not a problem. It's just the learning process. The reason that I made this video is the learning process that I went through to try to figure out how to work with this product. And these are high quality. They're artist grade oil pastels. So you can get much cheaper ones that might even have more difficulties. I don't know. Maybe they have more filler in them or whatever, less pigment. But once I was done putting my gesso on, I went back in with my graphite and redefined my features of the girl again, because of course they'd been obliterated by both the gesso and the layers of the pastel that I'd put on over the top, because again, the pastel is opaque. So another kind of frustration I was having is that the way that these oil pastels are made, they don't have a point. So you have to use the edge of the flat section to make fine lines. And since I'm someone who uses a lot of, markers and things like that and fine paintbrushes, I wasn't getting the fine lines that I wanted. So I decided, well, I'm going to try to use some charcoal with it. So this is willow charcoal stick, and I've now learned that you can buy it in a pencil form, which would be nice, because this gets all over your fingers, because it's just a stick of burnt wood, basically. But I picked the very smallest one out of the package and was adding in details with that and blending, because charcoal does blend pretty well. And so I could have done this with the black oil pastel. I now figured out that I could have, because I started to use it at the end, but whatever. Mixed media, throw them all together. I don't really care. So I just continued with this process. Still having problems with some goobers, little balls of oil pastel beating up and getting on my paper, but I basically did mostly the same process all over again. I didn't add back in the shadows really, because I'd used the charcoal, which added a nice shadow layer that I was pleased with. So I think that the final product that you get with oil pastels is really more, it's not refined, it's not well blended, and that is the look. That is the look you're going for, rather than trying to fight it. Use it for what it's for, which I think is a more organic look than a super blended oil painting or whatever. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying, man? I don't know if I know what I'm saying. So I did add in more charcoal as I was going. Next time I work with it, I'll just try to just do oil pastel alone, and I will either work on a pastel paper or I will work on something that's been gessoed or put a medium on like a clear gesso that has tooth in it or a pastel ground or something, just to do more experimentation. But I think it's more likely than doing that I will actually just use these within my other mediums, like throw some collage on, then put some acrylic paint, and then put some pastels, and then put something else, because that's what I like to do. That's I'm not a purist. I don't think that you should just use one thing. I mean, you can. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying it's fun to mix it all together and to see what results you get. And that's the joy of creating to me, is just stir it up, throw it together, put it on top of this or that. And I also constantly learn when I do that about what will work together. Can you mix an acrylic with a water-based product, with a pastel, with whatever. Uh, that's what I like. That's the enjoyment of doing mixed media, and throwing away all the rules and just saying, this is what I'm going to do. And maybe that's not what a real artist does. I don't know. I'm not sure. Some of them frown on that for sure. Some of the more snooty ones are like, no, 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 no. That does not go with that. You should not put Coca-Cola on your breakfast cereal. You know what I'm saying? I think you could put Coca-Cola on your breakfast cereal if you want to. So the one thing that I really did like was that because it's an opaque product, that the lighter colors do go over the top of the other colors. That's something that frustrates me sometimes when I'm trying to do a water-based product. I can't go back in and put highlights in. You have to think about where the highlights are before you start, because you can't go back in with the white and put it on top, because they're all transparent and they just blend in together and it doesn't work. So things like doing watercolor, just pure watercolor, I love the way it looks and I want to learn how to do it better, but I'm so used to doing shadows and then highlights rather than highlights and then shadows, or thinking about the highlight being the white paper, that I'm not yet very proficient at that. But I'll work on it. I'm working on everything. I'm working on it all the time. That's my journey, that's my process, and that's what I usually share with you guys. I'm not saying I'm a professional, just an amateur working on getting there. Will I ever be a professional? I don't know. Well, do you ever stop learning? And if you stop learning, does that become boring and static? Man, I'm deep this morning. It must have been that Coca-Cola on my cornflakes. So I got out a Q-tip, cotton bud, or whatever you want to call it, to help me clean up some of those annoying oil pastel boogers. And that worked actually pretty well. You can brush them off. If I tried to brush them off with my finger, then my finger caught them and tried to blend them into the paper. So using the lightly brushing it off with the cotton worked actually pretty well. So that would probably be my preferred method. We're out of Q-tips right now. I need to go buy another pack, so I can't put some more in my studio. So I hope you enjoyed this little oil pastel journey, and have a good day. That's it for me. Thanks. Bye-bye.